this session, so that way, you can get a copy of it and it can go to, our fellow bears who weren't able to join in today. So just be aware it is recorded, and I will make sure to email you that link. I'll email it out on Tuesday. So that way you could rewatch this if you need it, or, if you have a friend, a buddy or whatever that needs to see it, you can also share that with them as well. The other side note, we did have a little bit of a data glitch this week when it came to only some of you your GPAs. And so just know we are rerunning all of that, including if you're in any interim sessions as well. And that will all be reran and straightened out by tomorrow. And I will have a really nice, clean, fresh list with everyone's starting GPAs for next week as well. And so if things looked a little bit off from the email I sent compared to what you see in URSA, you can definitely send me an email and I'll make sure to look that record up manually, but just know it seems like 5 to 8% of the records were still pulling in fall term GPAs instead of cumulative GPAs. So always fun to have a little data in Excel. Grumpiness. All right. So what we're going to spend the next 20 some odd minutes talking about is just academic probation and what to expect this spring semester. My goal is for you to go into your classes and the rest of the semester just really understanding what is this GPA warning, what is this process, and what steps you need to do and just be prepared for. This is a completely normal thing. Every semester, we have a lot of students go through this, especially, the past couple years because, COVID, online, everything that's happening in the world is extremely challenging, and it makes it really difficult to earn, some of the grades that you were hoping to, or that you want to, or that you needed to. So you are 100% not alone. I mean, see how many people are even on this meeting with us today. And this is absolutely a very normal process. A lot of students, in fact, in the fall semester, almost 40%. We were so close. 37% of all the students on probation in the fall got back to good standing and reached that 2.0. So don't despair. It is, real, serious. We're going to talk about that. But you absolutely can do it. I believe in you, believe in yourself, and we're going to get through this. So to get started, I have one more quick poll just to kind of get a sense of who we have in the room. And so go ahead and select, are you P1? So that's kind of first time with your GPA below a 2.0 this semester. Are we continuing getting to that 2.0? Are you rejoining us this semester through our readmission, or did you have a suspension appeal? And as you're answering that, just to kind of reintroduce myself, I'm Haley Blackburn, she, her, and I am what we call our academic review coordinator, which means that I am tracking and processing and answering all sorts of questions related to academic standing, probation, and suspension. And then I also, if you do need to go through the suspension appeal process, I collect all of your applications, materials, and I deliver it to our academic review committee. I am not a voting member. I have absolutely no say, but I'm very much on your side to help you build the best appeal that you can. I also work with all of your professional advisors and help train them on probation. So if you're not sure who you should be talking to, you can absolutely email that probation@unco.edu email address or my email, and I will make sure to get you connected to your probation coach or advisor based on your major and college. Awesome. So today we're just going to quickly go over some policy basics. I'm going to tell you what else to kind of expect this semester, and then we're just going to end with a couple tips to prepare that seem to have worked well for past students, so that way you have some ideas on how you want to move forward. Cool. And it looks like I'll go ahead in this poll. Cool. So we have a lot. Most of you are first time on probation. That definitely tracks. We have a lot of you in the spring semester. Again, coming back in the fall without things like SU grading and just trying to get back into the swing of life is challenging. So welcome, you very much are not alone. And for those of you who are continuing towards the goal, you got this. Like also, we have quite a few of you this spring as well. And so it's just a process that happens, and we got your back, and I'm here to help you get to your goals. Okay. Let's hit it. So in terms of the policy basics, and if you have questions, you can put them in the chat as we're going through this, and I'll make sure to pause and answer. But our academic probation policy really, it has two kind of important things that you want to really keep in mind. And so the kind of what is it and what is the goal, definitely important. And then we'll talk about, kind of that how and what happens, at the end of the probation period if we don't quite get where we want to be. And so academic probation, right, it's just a warning. I think probation is kind of an intense term for it, so we can think of it as a warning that your GPA is actually too low to graduate. So your major or program might require a higher GPA. Things like the education program are big ones, nursing, those types of programs. But just baseline, everybody at UNC needs to have at least a 2.0 to graduate with a degree. And so right now, right, we have this probation system set up to let you know that you are, below that. And a 2.0 is a C average, sort of across all of the classes you've ever taken. Do you know this is different than financial aid? So you might have gotten a letter or an email from financial aid about SAP, and it's tied to things like GPA. So typically students on probation also run into some trouble with financial aid, but we are two separate processes. So you definitely want to just follow up with financial aid and make sure everything is squared away and you know what to do with that process. Now, what you need to do is get your GPA, your overall GPA, up to that 2.0. So 1.99 is too low. You need a 2.0 or higher within 24 UNC credits. And so that means if you took like a summer class, if you decide after the spring, you're going to go take a summer class and transfer it, like if you go to Ames, that's not going to count in this world at all. And that's because transfer credits don't bring a GPA over. So the grades that you earn at other schools, they can get you credit, but they aren't going to impact your GPA with us. So we're just looking at the next 24 credits that you take here at UNC. That's what's going to be counting towards your GPA. So basically, that's like a lot of numbers. Just think about the next 2 semesters is what most people use for those 24 credits. And the big picture of like, how do you raise your GPA? You earn what we call quality points, which are basically grades, right? And so we have that 4.0 scale, and so an A gets you 4 points, an F gets you 0 points. And so you want to earn as many of these points as you can, and then we divide all your points by the total credits, right, that are attached to them. And so that's why things like A's really help your GPA, because you're earning, more quality points per credit. And that's why things like F's really hurt our GPA, because we aren't earning any points, but now we're putting a bunch of credit into the division equation. If you decide to withdraw from a class, we're not going to count those in your probation 24. If you take an incomplete for a class, that's not going to count until it turns into a grade. And so we're really just looking at A through F courses. And so definitely if the semester is not going super well, and at the end you're like, I think I might have a lot of F's this semester, you might talk to your advisor, talk to financial aid, talk to your support people about withdrawing, because that can give you a little bit more time and another semester. And we already have a question, and yes, it is absolutely possible to get off of probation in one single semester. We're just looking at your overall GPA, and it definitely has happened, happens quite frequently. It just depends on, what classes you have, how many credits you have, how that math works out. And so, definitely I've seen students who changed like their major, changed up quite a few things. Maybe they were able to get in with like counseling, just changed a lot about their situation, and ended up getting like B's and A's and got off of probation in just one semester. So it can happen. It just depends on the math. And then last, worst case scenario, we'll cross this bridge if you have to get there, but know that you can be suspended from UNC if your GPA stays too low for too long. So if you exceed those 24 or it drops below 1.0, that's when we would be talking about a suspension. But we have quite a few returning and readmission options that you'll be able to use if that happens. So just know it's real, and every semester it absolutely happens to students, and every semester we have students come back through our readmission options and end up doing really well after having that little bit of a break. Cool. You can take summer classes this spring, after this spring. If you stay on probation, like, you absolutely can take summer classes. Just know they will still count towards that 24 if you're taking them here at UNC. Interim classes, however, you're not allowed to register for. Now, some of you may have taken winter break classes this past winter, and that is because you were able to register before we had your fall grades in, and we're not going to remove you from the class. So just know moving forward, you can take summer classes. Really think about if summer classes and that condensed schedule is going to work for you. I've seen students who usually get like A's in summer classes just because it is a little bit of a different format and they use them a lot, and other students who say summer classes are so much harder, they are not for me. So you can make that decision, but just know you are able to register for a summer course after the spring. And again, with suspension, if you are suspended, you'll get a notification in May. And so we'll be basing this off of all your spring grades. Those are due May 11th is when your professors will turn that into the registrar's office. And then we'll send you a notification. It'll go to your Bayer mail, and I will have your advisors give you a call as well. And I'll try to email you and get in touch on May 16th. So just, if you want to put that in your calendar now, May 16th is the day to kind of check. And that's also when you can, pull your final grades and your unofficial transcripts and check out your GPA for yourself. Now, if you are suspended, we do have an appeal process, and I will get in touch with you and invite you to a Zoom session, very much like this one, except it will be completely focused on how to submit a suspension appeal. Big picture of the readmission process. You will apply for readmission after just one semester. So if you get suspended after this spring, you would need to take the fall off, and then you could apply for readmission for next spring. So that would be the soonest that you could come back to us. And that process basically requires submitting a letter explaining, what happened, how you've changed or what's changed, in that gap that you've been gone, and then what your plan is if you're readmitted to get back into good standing. Again, we'll talk so much more about that if you end up in our suspension Zoom session in May, but just know there is a process. It's okay. Again, it happens to students every semester, and students come back, all the time as well. So it's just a thing that happens, and you have some options if we get there. Cool. All right. Now, one thing that you could use before you're even suspended. So let's say, the spring semester still doesn't go kind of the way that you had hoped or that you had planned. One option is called Fresh Start, and we have 2 tracks. This first track is really for first year students. So it's only open if you have earned fewer than 30 credits. And that's something, I will check on your record. You can definitely ask me about. But if you, just had a really hard, rough transition, and this is a hard year to have started college, certainly, you would be eligible for this, and you just need to go to like Ames, Front Range, Metro, whatever other college, take 24 transferable credits, get a 2.5 GPA. And then when you come back to us, we basically remove C minus, D plus, D minus, and F grades. They'll still live on your transcript, but we won't use them in your GPA calculation. So you really start over with just your, higher letter grades, and it's going to wipe out any of those low grades. And that's something that you can choose to do, anytime, again, as long as you have fewer than 30 earned credits. The other option, if after this spring semester you say, I just need to take like a real minute here. Maybe you want to go and earn an associate's degree, thinking about things like Ames to UNC. A lot of students have done that. But if you decide I'm going to be gone for at least 3 years, then you're eligible for Fresh Start Returning. Same deal. All of your Fs and Ds and C minus grades are going to be wiped from that GPA calculation. And you can come back and just kind of start fresh with just your high grades on your record. Cool. All right. So I know I just powered through quite a bit of information for you. So I just want to do kind of a quick check-in on what we might need to review. So I just launched a 3-question poll. So first, what is the GPA you need to get to good standing? And this is going to be your overall GPA. And then the second question is going to be about how many credits do you get for probation? This is total. So if you are coming back as a returning PC student, you've already used some of those, but how many credits do you get? And yeah, what do we need to try to avoid? Nice, I see some good answers coming in. Give me another minute. And this is information we're going to keep telling you over and over again because I know it's a lot of numbers to keep track of. Nice. Okay. And let's close. All right. So what GPA do we need to get to good standing? Yes, exactly. We want a 2.0, and then you can say goodbye to me and the probation email and just focus on your next, goals and the rest of your degree. So 2.0, that's our end game. How many credits? Exactly. Yep, you get 24 total. These are just UNC credits and only credits that you finish, so you complete them and you get an A through an F. So if you do a withdraw, that's not going to count in the 24 because you don't have a grade with it, or things like incomplete aren't going to count because you don't have a grade associated with it. All right, and last, we want to avoid a 0.99. Exactly. So if while you're on probation, your GPA drops down or it stays below a 1.0, so you're at a 0.99 overall at the end of the spring semester, that will trigger our suspension policy as well. And so you might start below a 1.0. That's super common, especially if you only have 1 semester of grades on the books. Super common. But no, at the end of the spring semester, you need to have your GPA to at least a 1.0, or else we'll be looking at suspension as well. Cool. All right, so out of all that information, I would say, the top 2 things to just really take away is going to be to just focus on the upcoming semester. Like, I know there's a lot of really big picture things at play, but just focus, what can you do tonight that's going to make tomorrow a little bit more successful? What can you do this weekend, right? That's going to make the beginning of your semester a little bit more successful. And just kind of take it week by week, class by class, find small ways that you can just get what you need to do done and get the support that you need, talk to the people that you need to talk to, so that way you can just reach your target GPA this semester. The target GPA is something that your advisor will give you if you have a meeting with them. So I recommend also meeting with your probation advisor this month, right? Before the end of January, go talk to your advisor, email your probation support so they can set that target GPA that's going to help you get back to good standing. And then make a plan that you can follow, right? And that plan is going to look different for everybody. You know, some people thrive getting up early in the mornings and doing all their like homework before, you know, noon. Some people, it's like mornings are not where it's at, or you have to work, or you have, you know, kids, families, like whatever your life is, then make a plan that you can follow. So maybe it's, you know, I have to reserve between 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. to like get my homework for the day done. You decide what that plan is, make it fit for your life, and then make it something that you can follow. And I very much believe that you'll be, you know, where you want and headed in that right direction. At the end of this semester is when you will receive notifications about your academic standing. So if you are continuing on probation, you'll get that letter. It'll go out on May 16th. If you're suspended, you'll get a letter on May 16th. And if you are off of probation, we will send you, I'll send you a hooray email as well. So after the end of the semester, basically, we need to have your spring grades in first. And we have support here. So there's the university support. That's me hosting things like info sessions, trying to make videos, and I coordinate that academic success workshop that we're going to talk about in just a minute. And then you do have that college support, and they're there to help you calculate your target GPA, help you with goal setting, and they will also be the ones to lift your probation hold after you've completed the requirements and some of these next steps. So the thing with support though is you need to kind of take that first step. We are here, we're going to email, send invitations. The fact that you showed up to this session today is already in the right direction. But if you don't, you know, reply to emails, use office hours, stop in and talk to your advisor, you know, it's going to be a little bit harder. So just check your Bayer mail, respond, reply, and use the support that is already paid for with your tuition. So, you know, use our services, use the writing center, use your advisors. All of that is really here and going to make a difference. All right. So what to expect? Since we have a lot of P1 students on this call, especially, I will just kind of let you know about our academic success workshop. And so this is a self-paced course through Canvas. On Tuesday, I'm going to enroll all P1. So if it's your first time on probation, you will see the Canvas course just show up like the rest of your courses. And if you are PC, I will send you an email saying, hey, you can sign up for this if you want to. But it's just a requirement for first-time probation students. And so you're going to be able to go through, there's like 20 minutes of video content, kind of recapping more in depthly this policy as well. Again, the fact you showed up today means you could probably listen to me on 1.5 speed when you get into the success workshop, because it's the same content mostly. But then there's a bunch of stuff on just tips and support and all sorts of good stuff I want you to be able to go through. And so on one of the pages, and this is why as PC, you might want to, you know, enroll in it anyway. We've curated like videos and podcasts and just stuff to help you with, you know, balancing work with, if you need financial help and textbooks like motivation, mental health, stress, taking notes. I've collected feedback from previous probation students on what their challenges were and tried to just put together as much, you know, support, ideas, inspiration, and tips as I could into this workshop to address some of those challenges. So this is something, it will help you more if you do it, you know, sooner the better. And so again, I will add you to that on Tuesday. And if you were like enrolled in a winter session, then you already got enrolled into the course, because I didn't want you to skip out since you were in a class already. Your advisor also might have asked you to pre-register for it. Either way, that is totally good, like great head start. And just know Tuesday is definitely, if you're not in it already, when you will get pushed into that course. All right, and with the last few minutes here, I just want to offer a few tips to kind of prepare for the spring, since, for week one is almost over. I can't believe it. So first, check your schedule. I'd say is a really big thing. The ad deadline is tomorrow at 5. And so now that you've had a little bit of a chance to feel out your classes, if you feel like you need to switch to a different section or change classes for some reason, you're going to want to, call your advising center and your probation support like tomorrow morning, and kind of talk with them about changing your schedule, or look through your degree works. If you're just changing to a different section of the same class, all of that you can do through URSA through tomorrow night. And then after tomorrow, changing your schedule gets a lot more complicated. So if you need to change anything, tonight and tomorrow is definitely the day to make that happen. And then as you're looking through your schedule, if you're like, yeah, I need to be in these classes, I'm happy with these classes, just take a little self-inventory. What do you feel nervous about? What do you feel confident about? And then what can you do to, kind of confront or reduce the nervousness? Can you go maybe find your professor's office hours in the class you're nervous about, and, get to know them a little bit more? And if you're confident about a class, what about that class makes you feel that way that you can maybe apply to some of your other classes as well? I also recommend that you, really figure out what services, actions that you can do. So tutorial services will start running tutoring sessions next week. So check on the tutoring center's website if a class you're in has a tutor offered, and then just go ahead and get on that schedule. Don't wait to not do very well on the first exam. Like, start tutoring now so you can feel confident on all the exams. And if your class isn't offered through tutoring, because we do have limited tutors, they actually have a general study skills tutor now. And so you could have a tutoring session with that person, just get on their books, and that would apply to kind of all classes and just general, like, how can we help with studying in general. Cool. If you're doing grade replacement, you do need to fill out the application. And so just make sure you do that before the application deadline, which is going to be not next Tuesday, but the one after that. So just kind of keep that in mind. You're going to want to get this in sort of this week, next week, once your schedule is set. And your advisor can help you out. We actually have a list of people who have outstanding grade replacements. And so your advisor is trying to get in touch with you if you haven't submitted the application and need to. And then last, brainstorm a plan. So think about a new strategy, right? We're here on probation because something in the last semester or two, wasn't going quite right. And so think about what it is. And so I like to think of it as a list of replicates. That's things that worked really well, that were going well for me, that I want to do more of, and then recalibrate. And that's just things that clearly, it did not serve me and my interests, and I need to tweak it or change it or adjust it. So really just think about what can you replicate that was successful last semester, and what can you recalibrate that was like, ooh, that didn't go so well. How can I change it? And then follow unco_success on Instagram. My team in Student Academic Success is running this account. And so every week we're going to give you tips and kind of reminders and insider secrets. You'll hear from other peers here in the tutoring center and advisors on information. And we're just going to try to give you some of that motivation and support. So definitely find us UNCO_success on Instagram, just so you know somebody is in your corner all semester. And a lot of times you'll see my face again. And final slide, and I'll send this to you I'll send the slide deck to you as well. But this is just a list of all the resources that might be helpful, that have helped past students on probation. Again, tutoring is starting their tutoring sessions next week, and you can find the classes that they have offered. The Math Study Center is great for, of course, your math classes, and I believe they have an online calendar so you can see when the different GAs are there. Love the Writing Center. I'm a huge fan. Dr. Denny and her team can help with any writing discipline. They can also help with things like projects. If you need to write a letter for SAP, they can help you with that. So use the Writing Center this semester. I love it. Our Disability Resource Center to help with accommodations, make sure that you have the learning environment that you deserve and that you have the right to. So definitely get in touch with them. Counseling, I mean, love it, right? Most of us definitely benefit from some counseling, but they do fill up kind of quickly. If the counseling center is full, we have the psychological services clinic on campus as well. And then just our other areas, career readiness, if you feel like maybe you're not in the right major, it might be worth talking to them. Financial aid for SAP, and then, I mean, our cultural centers are a great community, and a lot of them have kind of mentors and success coaches in place to help you as well. Excellent. All right, and that does conclude our info session today. I'll hang out for another few minutes. If you have some other general questions, let's see. Oh, we just got a good one. Oh, so if you are thinking about changing your class, I would get in touch with your probation advisor as well as your regular advisor. It kind of depends on how much you want to change around. Like if you're just kind of swapping out some LAC classes, those tend to be safer. But if you're like thinking about dropping a class for your major, you definitely want to talk to your major advisor. And you can send me an email if you're not sure who that person is. Some colleges have the same, like your academic advisor is your probation advisor. Some colleges split it up, but I would recommend reaching out to both people if you have more than one, just to make sure changing your class, right, it's going to help you with probation, but it's not going to like mess up your degree plan. Great question. Oh, and incompletes. That's another great one. So incompletes don't count for our 24 until they turn over. And with an incomplete, you need to work with the professor that gave you the incomplete specifically. So don't like register for that class again. No, because it's kind of in this limbo space. So you don't want to register. You're not retaking the class. That's a totally different thing. So instead you work with your original professor who gave you the incomplete to finish up, whatever outstanding work you and that person decide. And then they will be responsible for updating your grade, and they submit a form through us. And you have 1 year. If you haven't completed that incomplete within 1 year, it will turn into an F automatically. So work with your original professor. Perfect. Great questions. All right. Well, thank you again so much for tuning in. Like I said, on Friday, tomorrow, we'll have all grades kind of refreshed and updated based on any changes from the winter and winter break sessions. Email me, probation@unco.edu anytime. I'm like almost always the one who's going to be responding to those, and just stay in touch. I believe in you. I want you to believe in yourself. This is a bump in the road. We're going to get through it. And even if you get suspended, we have more options. So keep your chin up and let's go Bears.